Hi everyone, I'm Extra Shoddy. It's been a little while. I wanted to say thanks for 1,000 subscribers and give a little explanation for my absence. I wrapped up grad school. And that's all the explanation you're getting. You're welcome to Second Life Burnouts, the show where your resentment for your home away from homeowners association reaches its peak. Today I want to ask you a very particular question. What was the first isekai? The real answer, in modern terms, is probably something like Urashima Taro, but for our purposes we need to get a bit more red-blooded. That's right, it's time to talk about an American isekai. The land of the free, the home of the brave, where Truck-kun lets it all hang out. Please understand, I can't show what that means without getting demonetized. The genre as a whole is a bit older than you might think. The first well-known American isekai, as arbitrarily defined by me, noted literary historian Extra Shoddy, is probably A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. While you may know him as Jane Austen's first and greatest hater, he was also a prolific author of the 19th century and aficionado of many an antiquated slur, which we will not be repeating. Here's a quick rundown of our seminal work. Hank Morgan, New England engineer of the 19th century, loses a fist fight. Badly. And the blunt force trauma transports him to Arthurian England, where in isekai tradition he rockets to the upper echelons of society by sheer happenstance. He looked at medieval society, saw that bullshitting was an art form, and deemed himself Picasso. I'll let you decide what that means. While the format and conceit of Yankee aren't too similar to what we might expect, Hank doesn't level up even once after all, there's quite a few prescient trends. Unique talents that somehow elevate our hero above his peers, casual reinvention of the Industrial Revolution, and an enormous conflict with the Catholic Church. I can't believe there's really a harem. Okay, too much information. Yankee reads a lot like a satire of a completely separate genre, poking a lot of fun at the notions of chivalry and feudalism, but it still carries a lot of the values and ideals of its own time. But this is merely chapter 1 of our own story. The inherent collision between the mundane and the fantastic, the contemporary versus the chimerical, is core to the genre of isekai. If you're not leaving your crummy life behind, can you really call it an amazing tale? You need that baseline of everyday life, where the reader implicitly knows what the storyteller is leaving behind, but still understands just enough of what they're thrown into. I just realized the Minecraft movie is an isekai.
Lava, chicken, Steve's lava chicken, yes, tasty as hell. Ooh.
It's easy to take for granted that isekai stories take place in the near future, emphasis on near, with all the norms and bullshit that permeate this genre, like stats, monsters with loot and/or XP, and leveling up. Many a young weeb and young dweeb grew up with this crap in one form or another. The conceit of isekai works well with how video games present themselves, or at least used to. When you put aside your life and entered another world, that's not so different from sitting down, booting up the PlayStation, and tuning out the rest of your house and your parents' violent argument with your uncle. But only one of them is going to give you scoliosis. That might be why series that wholly embraced digital worlds like Dot Hack and Digimon found an audience. There was something to believing that digital spaces could be more tangible, that they could be more real than you ever hoped they could be. I know I wanted Pokemon to be real. Geodude was supposed to be real and strong.
And my friend.
That kind of takes me to the next example I'm going to talk about, which ran around the same time Mark Twain published his last written work. 2010. Homestuck is the mixed martial arts of online storytelling. It tries to unite many, many aspects of the craft. It's a little bit more hostile than you should feel comfortable with, and it's also kind of toxic to everyone involved. But despite that, there's something there. Homestuck details the adventures of 4 teens, then 12 teens, then another 4 teens playing a video game that ends the world, and following that, sets them on a quest to remake reality in their image. It only sort of works out. If I tried to explain it in more detail, we'd have to talk about Macromedia Flash and Juggalos, and I'm qualified to speak on neither. The early portions of Homestuck detail the protagonist's attempts to make sense of their ever-present mechanics of the world encroaching into their lives, from inventory management to inanimate objects leveling up. That tangible transformation of particular interests into tangible objects drives it as well. What you know is what you have to work with, and game mechanics becoming diegetic makes the remnants of their past life into a canvas. But that's only part of what makes Homestuck interesting today. It captures a snapshot of the transition in online culture that's beginning to fade further and further from memory. From trading notes and organizing meetups on chat clients, to the broad cultural shift from having an even broader circle of friends, Homestuck embodied so much of what it meant to be online in that moment of time. The storytelling landscape hadn't quite been flooded with video game bullshit as now diegetic, so it felt novel, at least to me. Homestuck's storytelling is uniquely messy and almost antagonistic at times, and this is baked into the story's foundations. The author's previous stories were told in the format of online forum games, where participants submitted commands for the characters to follow, driving the story and characters' reactions. This was also true of Homestuck through its first act, though the audience continued to drive the story in more abstract, subtle ways as the story continued. Despite being long removed from this, you can still feel the impact of this back and forth, that being a 30-something giving snarky and snide responses to whatever a teenager and tweenager gave to the story. There used to be a lot of 13-plus reminders on the internet saying you had to be this tall to type on the keyboard. And I guess they were probably good ideas in hindsight, but it's not like they ever stopped me. These past two stories might have been released over a century apart, but they hold an important piece of the puzzle for this made-up genre and how they developed. But foundations don't matter until something's built upon them, so we need to talk about what a modern American Isekai is. And boy howdy, I've got something good for you. Dungeon Crawler Carl is a series of web novels that began in the 2020s before being put to print in 2024. They details the adventures of Carl, a Coast Guard veteran, and Princess Donut, a beauty pageant princess cat, who have just survived the end of the world. The world has been flattened like grapes under the foot of Earth's new corporate overlords, and now has been reshaped into a planet-spanning dungeon. Entering the dungeon imbues Carl and Donut with the status of dungeon crawlers, or participants in a competition to reclaim possession of the planet, and the entire process is being filmed live before a studio audience.
Just leave him in the car.
So have fun. Dungeon Crawler Carl was the impetus for this video. I got the first 3 compiled books as Christmas gifts this past year, and I've already made my way through about 2 of them. 2.5 now. Alright, fine, it's 4. A lot of isekai stories make a point of detailing the world's internal mechanics to quantify just how strong or puny their heroes become, but not many of them turn it into a spectator sport. It kind of reflects a trend in the source of these mechanics themselves, or, gaming, and how the hobby has become more parasocialized with streaming. It's bad enough that the machine is listening while you crash out in Counter-Strike, but having no one listening could be even worse. You're not enjoying games for your own sake anymore, but feeding the engagement machine. And if it wants you to dance for views, by God, you are going to tango. But it takes 2 to tango, and both Carl and Donut are surprisingly savvy about how good publicity and bad publicity both fuel their survival. A side note, I didn't find a place to put this in elsewhere. You can really feel the subtle and not so subtle changes in English as we move from story to story. It makes perfect sense for Yankee, having been written before my great-grandparents were around, but it's a little more surprising for Homestuck and Dungeon Crawler Carl. You don't hear as many folks getting called virgins or the funny demonetizable word. Not anymore anyway. But you do hear incel and autistic with roughly the same connotation. I don't know what to think about that. Anyway, back to Carl. Dungeon Crawler Carl feels unique for the genre, because while the world he enters is almost entirely alien to him, it's been constructed out of the detritus of the former Earth. The world is molded into a subterranean labyrinth, but it's built out of Arby's, train stations, Waffle Houses, and the like. Drug addicts, demolitionists, and deepfake sex tapes are commonplace, but all of them are melded with the alien cultures of the showrunners and universe at large, which really fits the vibe of what an American Isekai can be. You can't go back to everything you once knew, but you'll run into it again whether you like it or not. Dungeon Crawler Carl is available in print, ebook, audiobook, and also webtoon for now. Read it, listen to it, I don't care which, but know this. I'm not asking. And if you spoil me in the comments, I swan to John. Thank you for watching. This video is part of a mutual 1K sub celebration. Quarter Life Burnouts and I reached 1K subs around the same time frame, and to commemorate, we elected to make videos in the other's style. Make sure to check out his as well, link in the comments. I've been in a video making slump, but I'm hoping to build up my motivation again after a hectic last year. You'll see me again, hopefully soon. If you like the style of video, make sure to press the cool buttons. I don't know, I might make another. In any case, stay classy, and take care.